I was editing this, yes, you're seeing into the future, or actually maybe into the past, because this will be in the past when you see it. But no less, I got a correspondence from my friend Trip Miller over at Radioactive. Sorry that doesn't stick there. The fan goes and blows everything down. If you think that's a bad victim, I think you should see the statue of Ron Say. He got blasted, but you know what? But at any rate, about the ongoing battle about XFox Games versus Shrub and Heathpants. Heathpants was the brilliant guy who drew that right there. Great guy, wonderful guy, okay? I have one of his pigeons. Really cool, okay? But it's madness. It's drama. Let me just... I asked him permission if I can do this, if I can just go from his voice files and actually just tell you what's going on. Here you go.
This just in. An update regarding the XFox Games IP infringement dispute. XFox Games has sent Mighty Shrub a cease and desist letter. Spotlights of this letter include denying all claims, possible claims of defamation, using the wrong gender and previous legal name of the defendant.
They, them shit, look out.
And a bunch of bullshit, frankly. Yeah.
Man.
The community continues to be in an uproar over this decision. It seems as if XFox Games is digging themselves a hole that they are unable to crawl out of. More at 9.
You know, this is why I got out of commissions. Because one, you just get swamped with work. And two, there's so much drama. I tell you. Okay, so he sums it up here.
Well, no, so Mighty Shrub and MHP, right? They have the files out. Printables, probably, I don't know if it's Thingiverse, there's a couple, probably Maker World, there's a couple of places where you can get the files, right? Well, the protection is, as far as I know, is technically only on the files themselves. So you can't take the files, modify the files, and then sell the files. But the way to get around that is to take the files, make the part, and then take the dimensions off of the part itself to recreate a file. And then I think that's technically a way to get around it. So XFox did not ask Mighty Shrub or Mr. Heathpants for a licensing agreement to sell the parts. It's not... and because they went straight, they didn't ask, and they went straight to selling, Mighty Shrub and Mr. Heathpants were unwilling to give them a license.
I would be too.
They basically said, hey, please take this down, you don't have a license. And so, in response to that, XFox has gone ahead to the legal option and has basically said, hey, you're a liar. I did this the correct way. I'm not beholden to your license. Stop saying this. This is defamation. You have 5 days to take down everything, or I can go ahead and sue you. And it's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. Let me put it this way. In Nerf, and I've been in Nerf for a long time, there's always drama, there's always fighting and this and that. But to take something from what I'm just going by what I hear here, because I don't 3D print, I don't use 3D print anything. Everything I do is modded stock, and it's because I am the style of Singapore modded stock, which I think is the best style in the world for making proof of concepts and for making great blasters off the stuff that's on the shelf. But at any rate, I just think, you get into 3D printing, you start to design stuff, where are the protections? There's no patents on this stuff. There's no anything. You know how much it costs to build a patent? Jeez, it's a fortune. Over $10,000, maybe more, just the patent stuff, which we're very low run and everything else. So we have to do things like protect the intellectual rights of the files. But when they just go take the files, take the numbers off, copy the dimensions, and just rebuild it, you know what? Maybe they can't sue them in court, but if they get actual backlash for doing it, because you're taking something that he's designed, Shrub designed, and you're changing it, Okay, maybe you're legally getting away with it. Maybe you are. But you're going to get some shit for it. I'm sorry. That's just to be expected. I'm sorry. But it does make another, well, how the hell do you cover your ass in this community if you build something? You can't. Can I tell you something? You can't. Mark 13, for example, I posted it on one board. Some guy decided to leak it out, and then somebody was trying to do the pusher cup for this. The whole key of this is the pusher cup, right? But still, configuration. The guy got, what, 200 feet per second with a normal spring? I'm pushing, what, 403 without a bearing scar? And 383 with a bearing scar? Okay. Not to mention, I haven't even put, like, Shane Swiss springs in here, which are destined to go over 400 by far. I'm just getting this ready for Geddon, so I want to keep this around 300, and that's a really soft load, around 16 kilograms, or even 14. Actually, I think it's 15. Tripp did the numbers. I think it's 15. So this is one reason why I'm hesitant to do anything. And as a creator myself, I feel that, this is all just craziness, Like, what do? You hear this stuff all the time, and even I'm a little confused on what's going on here. But then I don't want to create anything because someone's just going to go out and steal it. I have something cool, like I have the smiley, or I have the lever action that Mighty Heath Pants makes, and then all of a sudden somebody just makes something else. You got a Caliburn and somebody just makes a different offshoot of the Caliburn and says, wow, screw you, I don't have to pay my 5% royalties or nothing. That's really terrible, because this is a community that is based largely on really credibility and really reputation, much more than it's based off of what you bring to the table or not, because no one wants to work with somebody who just screws everybody over. And nobody wants anybody who's crap. There's a lot of loyalty and stuff going on, and there's a lot of bandwagoning and friends and things like that. And I've seen a lot of it throughout the years. But this is a really crazy thing. This is a landmark case. I mean, it is. And I'm not going to take sides. I think what I'm hearing is wrong. XFox Games makes some great stuff. Some shotgun grips for the Aeon Pro, some cool stuff for the Brute Pro, and lots of other great things. Why do they even have to steal? Why can't they just make something else? And is it truly stealing? Because, quite frankly, we'll see how this goes, because this is going to be a very interesting battle. This is going to be a very interesting battle. I don't think he had to go as far as go legal with it, but I know what it's like when people think, oh, you're full of crap, Chris. Your Retaliator's not shooting 110 feet. Your Fire Strike's not shooting 150 flat or better. No. Yeah, of course, with safety slugs, it's not 150 flat or better, but with Explorer X starts well beyond that, you know what I'm saying? But, of course, they didn't know that. They're like, how can I do that? Okay, you got 16 kilograms rather than 14 kilograms. How can you do that? Well, they don't have it in their hand. So it became a thing where I showed up the games and, oh, okay, yeah, you're cool, you're right. This is something way different. This is not only how intellectual rights can be defined, it's how much confidence people are going to have to design. I mean, that's just crazy, I mean, I know the 10% rule. If you change something 10%, that's how the Talon mags got around the Katana mags, is because they were different. Yes, they did the same thing, but, Jet Blasters, for example, didn't own the patent on the magazine that was already made. By making it just a different design, fits a different adapter, which Jet Blasters came out with first too, they were able to make the Talons. Now everybody uses Talons, and they don't use katanas. Well, a lot of people call them better, but I don't. I use them in all my wars. I use them all the time, man. I don't get any jams from these. Everybody else has problem with them, but that was because I built these for vinyl-headed and silicone-headed darts, which I use. But everybody else uses those eraser head worker darts, which, by the way, they actually have gotten a lot better over the years. They really have. These chalk up against the magazine and they jam. Of course they do, because they're eraser heads. They're non-marking rubber, So it's also, these were made for one purpose, and that was made for that purpose. But Jet was going to make different darts that were not rubber head. When they did put out darts, they were rubber head. what happens when you don't actually start the company and you're just a product engineer for the company, or you just volunteer as a product engineer for the company, and then they just run off and do whatever. That's another problem. So my question is this: what do you do about this? What do you do? A long time ago, we had people that were copying, and I made a Facebook group where we all had. It was called the League. It was called the League of Designers. I'm not going to show that public, of course, but it was me, it was Heath Pants, it was Nerodia, a few other people, and we would talk about designs and everything, and nothing was allowed to leave that place. Now, that group that I showed you is also another group. It says, I'll show it to you. Mark 1320, and if you look at the title more closely, Cartaya's Mark 1320 group. Hold on, my phone is extremely slow. See, Mark 1320 build. Secret. Why is it secret? Because, again, you had to have that kind of confidentiality. So he actually told me that in a group where I had secret. And I had to actually ask him permission. I said, hey, can I put this up as like an update? Because I want to put it up as an update. And sure enough, he said, yeah, go for it, But that works. But what do you do about patent? What do you do about intellectual rights? Can you build something freely anymore without having these problems? Why don't you tell me in the comments what you think? And until next time, this is Chris Cartaya saying, don't you go changing, I'll find you. And my friend Trip Miller, who gave me that update. Thank you, Trip from Radioactive. I really enjoy our friendship, and I especially enjoy the K2027 springs you sent me, the stickers you sent me, and of course, the shirt that I never had a chance to put an update. I never had a chance to do it. Here it is. I'm sorry. I'm just really bad with YouTube and camera, but I'm trying to break these bad habits and put up good stuff. So thank you, buddy. Radioactive. Cool. Thank you, man.